Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, nomadcapitalist.com here in Ubud in Bali. And I want to talk to you today about UCUNA. Not Hakuna Matata, this is not some Balinese chant, but it is UCUNA, UCUNA. And I want to talk to you about how this factors into your second passport plans as a nomad capitalist and why you should be aware of these 5 letters. Now, a lot of people come to me for help looking to get a second passport. I primarily am working with folks who are US, Australian, Canadian, British citizens, a couple Europeans. And so the needs for getting a second passport and the desired outcomes for having a second passport are a little bit different than someone who's from, say, China or from India. And the planning for someone from one of those countries is different either. Primarily, if you are a United States citizen and you either want an insurance policy to be able to, or you actually want to go out and renounce your US citizenship now. And so these 5 letters are really important for some people that I've helped recently because it's often hard to give up a Tier A passport and not have the same visa-free travel privileges that you have as, for example, for a US citizen. This could apply to an Australian citizen, Canadian citizen, others who may want to give up their passport in the future if their laws become as draconian as the United States laws are now, but obviously that's something that is a smaller possibility. So let me talk about what UCUNA is. UCUNA stands for Canada, United States, New Zealand, just grouped into one there, and Australia. That's the CUNA, C-U-N-A, and then for good measure I topped that off with the United Arab Emirates. Again, was one U for the whole 3 words. U-C-U-N-A. Those are 5 countries that are relatively significant. And why they're significant is because I've gone through and created model passport portfolios, including looking at the passport portfolio that I already have and that I'm planning on finishing up for this year. Those are the 5 countries that I will not be able to get into, and that someone who created a similar passport portfolio would not be able to get into with visa-free access with a passport portfolio. Now, let me tell you what I included in terms of passports to get to this passport portfolio. I'm not going to give you the exact passports because there's a lot of different combinations, and obviously this is why people come to me and pay me for help. But I included economic citizenship programs such as those in the Caribbean and others where you can quickly get a second passport with a donation of $250,000 or less. For many folks, that donation will be much less, but I included up to $250,000. I also included fast-track naturalization programs, citizenship by exception programs, etc., where you can invest anywhere from $0 to $500,000 and get a passport in about a year. None of these timelines are set in stone, but we're using approximates. So $250,000 donation to get a passport in 6 months or less, often faster. $500,000 investment to get one in 1 year or faster. And again, those amounts may be much lower in your case, especially if you're a US or Western citizen. But those are the limits that I used. And so I said, all right, let's be reasonable. Let's limit ourselves to probably 1 citizenship by investment. Which one we want may differ based on your needs. And then I said, let's limit ourselves to 2 or 3 of the fast-track naturalization programs, provided that we can get our money out of those programs. So if we're tying up capital for some period of time, we can get that capital out potentially with a profit. So by doing this, we can get anywhere between 2, 3, and 4 passports. We can get them all in the course of a year. We can do it all legally according to laws actually written in the country's legal system. You can go and look at the law and verify that these passports exist. And we can make investments that we know we'll get back for the most part. So all in all, I think if we created this portfolio and held on to it for 3 to 4 years, we would pay for all the legal fees and potentially make a profit based on the appreciation and rental yield. Now, what I was able to do was to get access to most of the countries that are difficult for people who are on Tier B passports, the Thailands, the Serbias, others. In many cases, I was able to get multiple countries. For example, There are certain countries, when I fly to Serbia, it's a tough country for visas. Certain countries, when I go to Serbia, you get off the plane, they check everyone's passport. If you're a US citizen, please come on through. If you're a EU citizen, please come on through. If you're coming from Istanbul and you've got a Turkish passport, hold on a second, come over here for a second. Turks do have 90-day visa-free access to Serbia, but I've seen personally, because I am actually out there doing this stuff and not just theorizing with what I learned on the internet, that Turks sometimes have a problem getting into Serbia. So, all right, let's get a passport that actually gets us access into Serbia. Thailand's another one, even though that's an easy visa to get. Japan's another one, even though that's a relatively easy visa to get. Mexico is one that is relatively important. South Africa is one that is somewhat difficult for Tier B passports. So I try to get access to as many of those countries as possible. Morocco is another one, although not a huge issue. Namibia is one that's elusive for some folks and popular on the Nomad Trail. Basically, we're able to get all those countries, everywhere you really in the world that you'd want to go, except for this UCUNA. Now, there's an easy way to get access to the United Arab Emirates if you so desire. Otherwise, you can fly through on Emirates or Etihad with impunity. So the real issue is, and there are passports you can get, such as Montenegro's new economic citizenship, which gives you access to the UAE. If you want to get a Russian passport through investment in naturalization, that'll get you in. So the real issue is CUNA, C-U-N-A, Canada, United States, New Zealand, and Australia. There are passports you can get that will get you the Canada and New Zealand. These are the easier of the two in each of the clusters. Australia and the United States are the toughest ones. There are a couple of easy ways to get these. You can buy the Maltese passport and wait about a year and change to get that one. You can get part of them by buying the Cypriot passport, investing 2 million euros plus a bunch of fees. There are other passports you can get through naturalization that require a little bit of physical residence, although not a lot. But these are the 4 countries that are tough and that require either some time on the ground or a much more substantial investment or simply getting a visa. We've done a separate video that you might want to check out on how to get a US visa if you need one, or at least how that process works. And so the question is, if you're a Western citizen, could you live without going to those 4 countries? If you're from one of those 4 countries, perhaps you want to go back and visit. I, for one, think Canada's a very nice place. Wouldn't mind spending some time there. Wouldn't mind doing some shopping there. Would I die if I never went to Canada ever again? I think I could manage. Would I like to go to New Zealand? Sure, I can get a visa. It's a little bit of a laborious process, but I think going once or twice I'd be satisfied. It's far enough away, I don't really need to go other than for legitimate tourism. Probably the same with Australia. So this is, I think, the prelude to a question that you should ask yourself, and these are the questions that I ask people when they come on board and get my help, because there's a lot of questions that require follow-up. A lot of people comment on the internet and write blogs and theorize and play the role of armchair expats, but I've seen that there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what it means to have to get a visa, to what it means to have visa-free access, to what it means to not be a citizen. There are a lot of things that you can still get the benefits of by not having visa-free access or not being a citizen. And so when someone says, hey, I want to put together a passport portfolio, I have dozens of questions surrounding that to weed out and to whittle down to what we really need to do. And for a lot of folks, this CUNA or UCUNA is really not as important as they think. There are other ways to get access to these places, and you may not need access to all of them as well. So definitely something to keep in mind. And if you're willing to eliminate UCUNA, then you can probably save yourself a lot of money, a lot of hassle, a lot of stress, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of waiting when it comes to your passport portfolio and creating that second passport portfolio for yourself. We've got a lot of videos here on YouTube. You should definitely subscribe, check all of them out. I think one guy said, I'm binge watching all of Andrew's videos and I'm learning a lot. So definitely do that. When you want to create that passport portfolio, we've got a lot more advanced strategies, and we've got the aforementioned help for people who are 6- or 7-figure nomads at nomadcapitalist.com. That's our website. You can read over 1,000 articles and get some help as well at nomadcapitalist.com.